Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you guys how you can sign 2 to 3 clients every single month for your SMMA on complete autopilot, right? So stay tuned, right? So if you guys actually want to start signing clients consistently and aggressively scaling your SMMA, right? What I want you guys to do is actually focus on a niche, right? And if you're niche hopping or you don't selected your niche, right? I just want you guys to dial in a couple things about the niche to ensure that my advice actually works for you, right? Because some niches are just more difficult than others, right? Obviously niches are not always going to be the problem. It's not the main bottleneck because each niche low key is the same. However, there's a couple of things in each niche which will definitely help you get better results, right? And so what you want to focus on, right, when picking a niche, and focusing on a target market, right, is three things, right? First one being the TAM, right? You want to focus on the total addressable market, right? Reason being, right, if you have a good total addressable market, right, there's more people in your market, right? Meaning that they're more likely, let's say you're shit at sales or you have a couple bottlenecks like on your front end of the system, right? At the start, if you cannot sell them and if you're struggling, you can still get the opportunity to sign at least a couple clients, right? Because you're getting from a lot of business owners, right? So what are the chances? One of them, there's a very high chance one of them will say yes, right? But if you're in a niche where there's not a lot of business owners, right, or the chances of someone saying yes to you is already slimmer, right? So it just kind of makes sense. You want to be somewhere, where it's a big market, right? This way, you can, even if you have like a real small percentage of the market, right, you're already at 100K a month, right? So that's pretty much it. You want to focus on total addressable market, right? Second thing that you want to focus on is saturation, right? And this is the mistake that I made when I first started running my SMMA is, I did something that everyone was else doing, right? I literally copy pasted what I saw, on Discord servers, on everything, right? But that was wrong because that niche was saturated. I was in solar. Yes, when I ran ads, it was easy to sign clients. However, doing the service delivery, because in the end of the day, right, a lot of people focus on cost per acquisition. However, I like to argue that cost per acquisition is an important metric. However, what's important is the lifetime value, right? Because if your lifetime value is high, then having a higher cost per acquisition already makes sense, right? If you're only focused on low cost per acquisition, you'll just be churning all your clients all the time. So you need to find a way to maximize that LTV, right? And if you're not doing that, right, you'll never be able to scale your business, right? And at the same time, you're just gonna keep churning businesses. And a lot of these gurus, they don't tell you that, right? So what I want you guys to do is actually focus on, building systems out and making sure that you guys can retain your clients by setting the right expectations and doing proper fulfillment. Anyways, that's another video for you guys, right? So what I mean by saturation, essentially, if you're in a market where there's a lot of people already in the market, it's kind of hard, when you guys kind of have the same offer, you're kind of competing price essentially, right? There's not a lot of pulling factors for you to for someone to work with you. And most of these guys, I'm gonna be real, out of my experience, right, they'll probably be booking calls with multiple people at once, and therefore the sale is really, therefore it's hard to make on the spot because they're already trying to speak to a lot of people, right? So I would avoid saturated niches, right? Third thing that I focus on is medium to high ticket niches, right? And the thing is, right, if you're in this medium to high ticket place, like somewhere in between, I feel like genuinely that is the sweet spot. You know why? Because if it's too high ticket, right, getting someone to return investment is super hard in the first month because the sales cycle is too long. However, if you're medium to low ticket, medium to high ticket, like somewhere between, the sales cycle is faster. Therefore, if they close a job, right, they're more likely gonna get that deposit in the bank within the next day, right? Meaning that they have that fuel to run, as fuel to pay you. But if someone signs a deal and they get paid out by after 2-3 weeks of work, right, it kind of just elongates that process and will kind of burden you, especially if you don't have A tier clients, who are ready to burn money on ads. You're definitely just gonna churn them, right? So make sure to focus on these three things, and if you do that, this mechanism will definitely work for you. Next thing, I want you guys to focus on creating the most irresistible offer that you can. So simply follow Alex Hormozi's simple, framework, right? About creative crafting. You just want to craft an irresistible offer. You want an offer that is impossible for someone to say no to you. Especially even if you're at the start and if you have to do a free trial, do it, right? What you want to do essentially is create something that will help you build trust in the market, as well as that make it someone to make it hard for them to say no to you, right? So if I offered you a service, especially lead generation, and a person's been burnt out before, like, hey, listen, I will do this for you and I'll guarantee it to you. If I don't guarantee it to you, I'll give you all your money back, and I'll also give you an extra $500 straight out of my company, because I'm so confident that this system will take you to where you want to be, right? So what's stopping you from moving forward? Like, is it a price, is it a system? Like, because we do have a guarantee in place to make sure that, we get you there. And the reason why we do that essentially is because, this will definitely just make it easier for people to say yes to you. But do not craft some crazy ass offer that you cannot deliver, because that is scamming people, right? So let's make sure to craft an offer which is actually good, right? Not only that, you want to craft an offer which is realistic, and craft something that people will actually retain on, right? So yeah, just go out and library, see what's working, pretty much. Next thing, you just want to focus on acquisition channel. As much as LTV is important, as I was saying earlier, if you can't close clients, you can never work on LTV. So you're always first bottleneck will be sales, like selling your product, selling yourself. Whatever you do in this life, you're gonna have to sell it. Like whether you make bread, coffee, whatever, you need to find a way to sell your product to people, right? And that is done through marketing, finding acquisition channel, right? And whether it's outbound or inbound, but in this method, right, you need to spend money on ads, at least $33 a day, right? And if you do that, you definitely start signing clients super fast, because you have a system will start generating leads for you and start getting people coming through your door, similar like you're doing for your clients. And the issue with a lot of SMMA people, most of these people are younger adults, so they're pretty broke, right? But if you do have a bit of money saved up, if at least a grand saved up, you can definitely start running ads, right? And if you are running ads, make sure to do $33 a day budget, run it broad, have focus on video ads, hire a proper editor and do it properly, because you might as well, if you're spending a lot of money anyways, right, to market your business, you do it properly, hire an editor, script those ads nicely. And when you script them, what I want you guys to focus on, right, is what you guys want to do is focus on, first of all, having a hook, because hooks are obviously the things that you're gonna call the market with. Next thing is obviously the offer, right? And if you have a good offer, people are immediately gonna click. And there's body, and then see call to action, right? And this framework is the framework that you have to use to craft your script, right? And I'd say this is the main part to these two. This should be literally 80% of your video. What I mean by that, the body is not important at all. It is important, but at the same time, no one's gonna listen to that thing, right? I'm just being honest. I don't even listen to it. Nobody gives a damn. What they care about is what you have to offer to them, right? And to the market they're in, so Facebook can place these ads in front of people that you want, right? And essentially, the next thing that you want to have is obviously you cannot just run ads without having anything placed. You need a funnel. You need a way to convert this traffic that you're getting from your ad into cash collected, into customers, right? And essentially, you're gonna need a funnel. I don't want to go too in depth here. If you don't know what a funnel is, and you're doing SMA, you need to go back to the basics, but essentially, I'm not gonna hate here. So what you want to do is obviously have a landing page first, and then with the landing page, the way you want to structure it. So say the lead opts in, right? You want to take them somewhere where they can self-book themselves, so that it makes your life easier. If they don't, you have to call them, right? So with the self-booking page, with the landing page, the structure is the following, right? What you're doing essentially is you're gonna put your call out again, so just similar to your ad, call out, offer, and then down here you're gonna have a big calendar, calendar, right? And what you can do at the bottom is you can put testimonial videos if you have testimonial videos, right? And this way, you know, everything's on one page, keeping it simple, right? And the key feature, if you're using Go High Level, you can make two pages at once and split test them to see what gets, better results, So yeah, so what you want to do is have that, and after they click the calendar, you want to have a thank you page, and in that thank you page, essentially you're just telling them what the next steps are, what automation messages they should be expecting, what to prepare for the call, yada yada, the jazz. I'm not gonna go into details. And then once they do that, you want automations. And with the automations, why they're there is essentially because you want to make sure that first of all, you're automatically following up with these leads to make sure they attend the call via email, SMS, calling as well, right? And as well as that, right, you want to make sure you have automations which sends them like a VSL and like any assets that you have to provide social proof, such as testimonials, etc., etc., right? The more that you can send, obviously don't send it all at once. So send one when you send the initial SMS about their date and time, and to confirm it, right, you send them a VSL. Next thing that you want to send them, 24 hours, hey, this is what we did for this client. Here's a client interview, So what you want to do is just have all these social proof, because the more content that they watch from you, the more you brainwash them. The more you brainwash them, they're already sold into your product. So they already know what you're kind of doing. All they're looking for is to see how much it costs them and how much they have to invest, right? And if you have all these strategies in place, doing a one call close should be effortless, right? And you should always aim for the one call close. And just a final note, if you guys do not, they do not book the landing page, what you want to focus on is speed to lead, right? As soon as they opt in, they do not click on the calendar, they don't book themselves in. You're going to be calling these leads as soon as possible, within 1 to 5 minutes, 3 times a day, up to 14 days, right? And as well as that, hitting them through SMS, emails, multiple touch points, because you never know when you're going to reach them, right? So that's pretty much it, right? If you use this system, guys, believe me, you'll sign 2 to 3 clients every single week, very fast. If you watch my testimony videos, you see that my mentees have also done that with the same system, right? So if you guys are actually serious about scaling your SMMA, just drop me a DM on Instagram. I'm more than happy to help you guys out.